Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some white flower blossoms. It's going to be very impressionistic. We'll be using some unusual tools for it. Very, very easy. I've got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's going to be man on chat for our live show today, so let's get started. All right, so my example picture that I found was actually darker blue and much more real, focused. And so I used kind of a blur filter and added some little splotches just to kind of see if I could get it closer to what I wanted. And I think I'm still going to kind of change the colors up to be a little bit even more kind of neutral teals and more like earthy colors. And then I think I'm going to use this photograph that I found that has a little bit of a different perspective on the flowers. I kind of liked it coming from this direction. So I'll be kind of combining some of these. So we're going to be playing with it. So I don't know. Let's see what happens. Hopefully it'll be good. I will say if you have a firm support board, that'll probably be a little bit easier to use a palette knife or some of the scraping tools that we're going to be using than a canvas that's a little bit softer and maybe will wiggle around on you. So I'm using a 9 by 12 inch MDF board. But and it's pre-gessoed. If you've got a canvas panel, something like that, with a paper board, that'll work as well. Or a canvas can work. You just probably put some magazines or something up underneath it just to give it some support for when we scrape. So I've got several different tools here I'm going to try out. I think I'm going to be using our good old Q-tips for some of the flowers. And then I'm going to use some cardboard and credit card. And then we'll use some palette knife to mix up our paints and things like that. Maybe a fan brush to do some splattering. But I'm going to try to kind of keep it simple, everyday household items for this so that it's a little bit easier to do it with a kids group or something like that. All right, let me go over our palette really quick. I've got Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, Quinacridone Magenta, Cadmium, Yellow Medium, Yellow Oxide, Raw Sienna, Burnt Umber, Phthalo Green Yellow Shade, Phthalo Blue Green Shade, and Ultramarine Blue. Really, any of these colors and in other combinations will work. This color can be mixed with these two. This color here can be mixed with white and yellow oxide. And I'm not even sure if we're going to use the brighter yellow, but I thought it would be good to have it in case we need it to make some greens. So we've got a sponsor for today's video. Lava Soap has sponsored our video today. And so check out this clip. Painting is a messy job, and for years I've used regular dish soap to get the paint off of my hands after our tutorials. Sometimes having to use a nail brush to scrub and scrub and scrub. Well, Lava Soap has come to my rescue. They sent me some samples to try. Really didn't know what to expect, but I have been incredibly impressed. The power of pumice is the key to its effectiveness. It only takes a couple of little swipes with a bar of Lava Soap and the paint just comes straight off my hands. It's also moisturized, so it leaves them nice and soft. I am definitely a believer now. I'm totally sold. Use it every time I need to clean my hands from paint. It is amazing. If you want to check it out for yourself, there is a link down in the description that says where to buy. Whatever you're into, Lava gets it out. All right, pretty cool. And actually, you can see where I sped up the regular hand washing and where I did the other hand washing live time. The first time we used this, my son, I was like, hey, Spencer, come over here. I got some new, soap they sent me, and pulled it out, and it was almost exactly like in the video. I just went like this and the paint was gone. And I was like, so it's like, man, I've been missing out. So definitely check it out. And there's a link down in the description, like I said. So yeah, he was like, that was kind of anticlimactic. It would like work like that. Pretty funny. All right. That's
a good thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. Saved me a lot of time. I've spent a lot of time washing my hands trying to get soap off of them over the years. So definitely a time saver. All right, I'm going to grab some white here, and I've got my big brush. I'm just going to kind of put put down sort of a background color for us to work with, and then we'll start layering some other colors on top. So I'm going to grab my yellow oxide and some raw sienna, and I'm not really mixing it. I'm just going to kind of slap it on my canvas here and brush it on really fast. So this is a really, you don't care what this looks like because most of this is going to be covered up. So just get it on there quickly. You can, if you're using a dry canvas, you can spray it with a little bit of water. That'll help the paint to go on there a little bit better, but we just kind of want a little bit of color underneath. And I honestly thought about pre-painting this background, but I kind of wanted to show this part in case you were a first time painting person. So, and this is definitely one that I think will be a really good first time painting. I say that, you know, I don't do a whole lot of very first time painting projects. A lot of them are kind of for intermediate type beginners, but this one I definitely think it's going to be super easy. I'm going to try to keep it so even kids could do it.
So you said this in case your first painting, not your second first painting?
Right.
Okay.
It just, yeah. Right.
Okay, it's that art math again. Your
it's art
even
math.
Number of odds and stuff like that.
Don't try to understand it. It'll hurt your brain. It's okay. All right.
You know I gave up on that a long time ago.
Huh?
You know I gave up on that a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let me mix up some colors first, and then while this is drying, we'll mix up a few colors and have them ready to go.
Do you need a blow dryer while you're doing that?
No, I think I'm okay. Well, if you, no, if you want to, go ahead.
Okay.
Take it and, because, I mean, there's no reason to.
Might as well.
Exactly. Since I want to be just mixing colors here for a minute. Mark's my blow dry master here. So, all right. So I'm going to make a teal with kind of equal parts phthalo green and phthalo blue and some white here. I'm just using a small palette knife, and I'm going to mix that up pretty well. That'll be kind of our main background color for the most part. And then I want to make up some more with phthalo blue and burnt sienna. That makes that really pretty teal color that it's kind of a deeper teal. Grab a little bit of white for that. And if you notice, I'm just kind of pulling off the side. I'm trying not to contaminate the whole thing when I do this. Oh, and I'm going to mix up a little bit more than I think I need, because palette knife work, or, you know, this kind of painting is definitely going to use more paint than you think. And you could do this with craft paints too. And, you know, the craft paints come in all kinds of different colors. So you could pick some craft paint colors that go together pretty well and just do that instead. You don't have to mix them if you're not comfortable with doing that. So there's that color. I'm just going to wipe my palette knife off in between. And let's mix up some gray with our Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber. And that's going to make almost a black color. So that'll be good for our branches. Be mostly this color. Thank you, hon. Good job. Do you add that to your job description at work? You know,
yeah.
Expert blow dryer.
Yeah, add that to my LinkedIn profile there.
Right. All right, I'm going to mix up some purple with the Ultramarine Blue and Quinacridone Magenta. And I'm just, if you notice, I'm kind of scooping from the outsides in so that these puddles don't get big. They'll kind of grow on you if you don't do that every now and then. Just kind of scrape them from the outside back in. Otherwise, they'll kind of try to take over your whole palette. So that's a good color. Let's add a little bit of the burnt umber, because I don't want it to be like a bright purple. I want it to be kind of a neutral. We're trying to keep these kind of earthy, neutral colors. So that's going to be better, I think. Yeah, that's good. Kind of a plum purple. And let's see. Let's add it. Let's make some green. So we'll mix up some of this burnt sienna or phthalo green with some yellow oxide here. And I'm going to add some of this white to it. This part is kind of tedious. It takes a little bit of time to kind of get your colors all mixed up and ready to go, but you'll be glad that you did this ahead of time so that you're not having to stop to mix colors while we're working. And then I think I'm going to make a color out of these two. I'm going to grab some of this color and some of this color and mix those two together to make kind of a medium kind of green, sage green color.
So I just want to say hello to everybody who's coming today.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We're glad that you're here.
We are. I'm just going to mimic everything you say.
And if you haven't already, you can subscribe to Angela's channel. Click in the little YouTube thingy bobber. You can get notifications by clicking the bell. You can give it a thumbs up.
Yes.
Down below the video in the description, links to Amazon store, Instagram, Patreon, Facebook groups, all kinds of good stuff. If you can't get enough of Angela, if you need more than just this hour and a half, 2 hours on Saturdays and Tuesdays.
Right, right.
There's many ways you can stalk her. What?
Just love how you put that. That's funny. My Instagram does have different stuff than I put on Facebook, I have to say. So if you're interested in, like, you know, pictures and things, I have all kinds of images from our trip to New York this Christmas up there. And so this is phthalo blue and yellow oxide. I don't know if I'm going to need a whole lot of green. I don't know why I'm making so much green, but it's just pretty. So it happened. I kind of intended this to be a little bit more blue, so I think I'm going to add a little bit more of this phthalo blue. I may have to just grab all of it to get it more blue. There we go. That's what I wanted. Just more of a blue. That yellow oxide kind of creates sort of that neutral gray blue that I'm looking for. All right, so there's kind of like light, medium, dark teals, and then a couple of greens. And I think this will be good to start with. And we'll probably need to add more whites to them, but I'm hoping that once we get them on or start scraping them on, they kind of blend on their own as we work. So that's the goal, at least. I'll put a little bit more phthalo blue because I'm out of that, just in case I need to grab some. Maybe a little bit more white. I'm pretty sure we're going to need to grab a little bit more white while we work. And if you've got, you know, cheaper acrylics like the Basics line, you might want to use those for this since we're using so much of them. You may not want to use your expensive heavy body acrylic paints for palette knife stuff. Or you can use some gloss medium, if I can find it. Pull it out here real quick. Some heavy gel medium. This one's matte, but I would use gloss probably. And mix it with your paints. And this will make your paints go a lot farther. So you can double the volume of your paints just by using some medium. And the mediums are a lot cheaper than the than regular paints. Okay, so I'm going to start with the cardboard, and I'm just going to start scraping on some squares. Just just picking it up and scripting it on. I'm just going to use one color at a time, kind of set it on there in some different random areas. And then we'll move to the next color. And we'll be glad that we have this color underneath in case some of the underpainting shows through. This will just kind of give us a base and kind of give a glow to our... It looks really pretty. That yellow color looks really pretty against blues. It's a really good color to use, like even under a sky painting, like if you're painting a landscape. I use the yellow oxide a lot under landscapes. And grabbing some of that green. Let's grab some of that lighter blue. And now I'm going to blend through while these are wet. Grab some white. Blend some white in. Maybe grab some yellow oxide. There we go. I'm sorry, that was Unbleached Titanium. And I'm just kind of doing horizontal scrapes. So
horizontal?
I'm sorry, vertical. Thank you. You thought I was making up.
Man, I thought my whole life was a lie there for a second.
You always thought that was horizontal.
I always
vertical.
thought that was vertical. I was like, wait a minute.
Again, art math, just don't question it.
And I'm sure all the art people in chat right now are like, yeah, that's normal.
Yeah, they didn't even catch it. I'm
we
sure
know
they
exactly
were like,
what she's talking about.
They wouldn't have even noticed unless she'd said something. Perfectly. Just do what I'm showing you. Don't worry about the... Oh, goodness. So you could also, if you have a credit card, you could use the credit card the same way. You could kind of scrape with that. This is kind of bending a little bit more than I kind of had hoped for. So I might switch over to this for a little bit and do some of this with the
You can use like
credit card.
Like an old iPhone 4 or 5 or something like that.
What?
Use an old iPhone 4, iPhone 5.
There you go.
You know.
I do have one of those around here somewhere.
Yep.
Or an old iPod. It's about the right shape. All right. I can tell already I didn't make up enough of this letter color here. I'm going to have to grab some of this and mix it. Grabbing that white and mixing it with this darker color here. There we go.
Okay, if you're like some people in chat that you're still using your iPhone 5, you might not want to use it for this. Just saying.
That's true. It hasn't been that long ago. I mean, it's not that... I'm really hard on my phones. I end up having to switch them out almost every 2 years or less. I think this last time it was only last me a year because they start messing up. I mean, the time before it lasted maybe not even quite 2 years before the photograph thing went out on it. And then hopefully you can see what I'm doing over here. I'm just grabbing different random colors. I'm really not planning this out much. I'm just kind of trying to cover up this empty space here and kind of in an interesting random manner. So don't send me notes saying I'm not explaining this, hopefully. Please. That's what the palette cam's for. Explain every single color. Hopefully you can see with your eyes what I'm doing here. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have the best of luck with phones. All right. So
well, I will say you are a power user. No, seriously. You use it like for everything.
I do. I use it all the time. Yep. Probably why I messed up my arm. I need to stop getting there. And I'm ending up kind of covering most of this yellow up here. So I'm going to grab some of the yellow and blend some of that in to what we're doing. We'll kind of mix a little bit with the colors. I'm really trying to kind of work from one side to another a little bit so that I'm getting some good blending action happening. This is really fun, especially with kids. They love this, so I really get into this. And scrape and scrape and scrape. You may end up with kind of all one color at the end of it because they tend to do that. So you may want to like limit the colors and just kind of give them like one or two colors. Or you could even put them out on here and just let them scrape through, you know, apply the paint straight to the canvas. I've done that before when I'm working with kids to help them from over blending on their palette. So just kind of set out colors on the straight onto the canvas and just have them move them around a little bit. Push them around. But let's grab some of that.
And this is turning out to be a painting by itself.
Yeah, true.
I mean, no, it's
it
really
could be,
cool.
yeah, it could be like an abstract painting for sure.
Wait a minute, I realized I just had side cam on there for a long time.
You did.
It's for all the side cam lovers out there.
Right.
You're welcome.
You set it on there and forgot about it, didn't you?
Yeah, because it's so awesome.
All right, so there we go. We've got, yeah, that is really kind of cool just on its own, isn't it? So I think I'm going to figure out sort of where I want some of my branches to go, and I'm going to go in here and darken up my corners just a little bit. Some of this darker paint color, and what we can do is it's leaving all this interesting texture on here. So as we build our layers, if you let this dry and then add more color, it'll only get more and more interesting. So now I can go back in, now that I've got it all kind of covered, and I can say, okay, I want a little bit more of the you know, lighter color in here in a couple places, and just kind of dab it on and create some little, you know, extra textures. Whatever. I do want to make sure that I'm not messing with the paint too much when it's in the middle of its drying phase, because it can start to get kind of gummy and lift off the canvas and things. So once you kind of feel it getting sticky, you're going to want to back off and let it dry a little bit. So I think we're okay to just go ahead and put on our stems for our flowers. So we're going to do that while we're trying to let that background dry. So I'm going to grab that black color that we mixed up earlier, the burnt umber and ultramarine blue, and I'm going to try to press it kind of flat so I get kind of a smooth section there, and then I'm going to scrape through it so that I get a bead of paint along the edge of that. I don't know if you can see it because it's dark, but there's kind of a thicker line of paint right there along the edge. So I'm going to look at this because this is my thing. I'm going to do some angular things right up this way. So just kind of setting it down so that side kind of touches the canvas just a little bit. And I don't really need straight, you know, solid lines. I just need a few little indications of some lines. So don't feel like you have to get your line solid all the way up the branch, because we'll have like flowers in between here. So the only thing with the credit card is that you can't kind of get very good bending, so you can kind of do it in smaller sections. You can kind of use maybe the corner of it and kind of set it down on an angle and kind of pull in a... Ooh, that got a little bit big on me there. That's all right. I'm just going to scrape through it. I'll put some flowers in there. It doesn't do perfect. This is going to be kind of our background, and some of these will just kind of scrape through the paint so that they look like kind of phantom limbs, almost like we can kind of see that there's some texture in the scraped through the paint, but we don't have to have it a lot of color. So all right, I think that's good. Just a few little, right, and we're not trying to go for realism today, so just kind of let your preconceived notions go. This is one of those paintings that's going to be really, hopefully really fun. You can just really kind of let your creativity flow and try some stuff. See what happens. Play with the paint a little bit. All right, I think that's good. I can grab some brown, burnt umber there. Mix that in. Oh, we've got some green there too. That's all right. Just put a little bit of the brown in there. Just in a couple places, if I can get it to come off. There we go. Okay. Good enough. You can always add some more later, and we probably will, but that'll be good to start. All right, so now I'm going to grab my Q-tip here. We'll start putting in some flowers. I'm going to wet it down a little bit, and I'm going to grab some white and a little bit of that purple. I want to make kind of a soft plum color. And I'm going to just kind of dab on some of this color in a few places, sort of towards the outer tips of the branches. This will be kind of the undercolor that we'll just barely see. Really, if you kind of squinted at your picture, you can kind of see some of these little dots and things in between your flowers, and that's sort of what we're going for with this color. I'm just going to try to kind of create some little random things. Super chat.
Super chat.
Thank you.
From Denise.
Thank you,
She
Denise.
says, "Thank you, Angela. I love the colors of your background. Rock on."
Nice.
I mean, paint on. I appreciate you very much.
Aw. I appreciate you too, for sure. We do. We absolutely love you guys. It's just, I don't know. I feel very blessed. I feel like I have the best job ever. So it doesn't feel like work at all. It feels like, yes, I get to go play with paint. And hang around with my husband too, which is not too shabby either. So
Yeah, it's all right.
he's all right. Okay, so here's the, this was the burnt umber and phthalo green kind of mixture that I did a little bit for some of the branches. And then I've just added that white, and I still had that purple in my color. So it's kind of created this pretty gray color, and I'm going to use that as well and kind of start creating maybe some flower shapes. So sort of trying to look at my picture here, and they kind of grow in these little clusters shapes. I'm not going to try to, get them exactly right, but I'm just going to try to kind of create a few little flower clusters maybe, and really I'm just dabbing sort of in a general area. And this is where you can kind of, you've got like a big gap in your thing, or if you've got a big area of black there that you want to kind of cover up, you can just use your thing there and it'll help hide it. This is going to be our underlayer underneath. So I want it dark enough so that when we put that white on top, let's grab some of that gray that's in our branches. Maybe a little bit more of that purple. Some white. But I want it to be dark enough so that when we put our flowers on there, there's some color underneath for it to set on, if that makes sense. White, we've got the background color too, so, but we want some depth in our white flowers as well. So we'll just keep adding little bits of color here. Really like how this is looking. Let's grab some of this Unbleached Titanium. Start adding some of that in. And we have it in the background too, so actually I might add a little bit of the, let's add a little bit of this burnt sienna. There we go. Ooh, that's a pretty color. That's a nice color. Okay, we'll use that for some of the background. Oh, that's really pretty. And that'll also tie in our background colors too, because we've got this mixed in with our greens and blues in our background. So anytime you can kind of use a color multiple times is helpful to unify your painting, even if you use it just a little tiny bit somewhere else. Okay. Probably use this as some of the centers of my flowers, so I may want to save it and not use it too much in the background. Or I can work around it, maybe build some of my flowers out from it. All right, so that I think it's about bit to dust. Let's get a new one. They're not that expensive.
I'll go put that in the pack.
Yeah.
I'll use that tomorrow morning. After working in the yard, sometimes it looks like that.
Does it?
all the dirt and
grass and dirt in your ears.
Yeah.
Gross. I did not need to know that.
Too much information. I'm sorry.
TMI. Yes, very much. All right. Let's start laying in some of our white flowers since we've got some, pretty decent things going on back here. And look at my picture here and notice that some of the flowers are facing straight on to me. So some of them will kind of have that 5 flower look like that. But some of them are going to be kind of facing sideways. And so all we'll see is maybe a couple of them or kind of a sideways petal. Some of them are going to be stacked in front of one another. So you might see the one up here, but then the rest of them will be kind of just a random cluster of nothing, So what we'll do first is kind of lay in some sort of random ones, and then we'll come back in and kind of lay in some really solid ones in front. So, and I'm really wanting this kind of to blend a little bit with the background colors too. So I don't want to get too white right off the bat. I do want it to kind of blend a little bit, so I might even pick up a little bit of the purple. Actually, let's mix some of this purple with the burnt sienna. So we had this color and this color, so let's do kind of an in-between color. That'll be a nice, yeah, that'll work. So it'll be a good transition color between these two that we've already got going on. There we go. That's almost pink. Pretty. Makes sense because that burnt sienna is kind of a reddish brown. Okay. Very good. Let me set that aside. Get another clean one for white. And I find if I roll the Q-tip through the paint, I can kind of control how much paint's on there a little bit better. You could definitely use your fingers even. I mean, I think that, you know, maybe even with kids, it would be fun to do it with your fingers. It'd probably be a lot faster too. So that's a definite option.
Hopefully you'll have lava soap laying around.
Exactly. This is a perfect one for lava, honestly.
Yeah.
Couldn't be better if you use your fingers. That is darn sure.
You can try using your nose if you need bigger flowers.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing about it is like it's been around for years and years, and it actually started out, I read on the website, as miners. Cave workers, caveman.
Wow, it has been around
miners,
a while.
You know, like
when you get done with your cave paintings,
exactly.
clean off your hands.
Little known fact.
I did not know that.
But actually, my dad used it too. When I told my mom that we were going to do a commercial for them, and she's like, "Oh, your dad used that when he did cable work, because he used to have to climb the telephone poles, and I guess his hands would get all gummed up with who knows what."
So you're saying your dad was a caveman?
Exactly. No, he used lava. He used it.
Oh, okay.
When he
I'm confusing my facts here.
Worked at the cable company.
Okay.
All right, so you're kind of just creating these little dot patterns, little dots, overlapping a little bit, leaving some of that underneath color showing through. You can kind of see I'm sort of going around what we've already done, a little bit over the top so that it sort of sets it down into the background, but not covering it completely. So, and then the tops of them, I'm kind of doing smaller little dots, and then as we go down the branches, I'm kind of connecting some of them and making flower shapes. So these first few are maybe like little buds or something. And then as I get down farther, I'm sort of creating a little bit bigger clusters. And this is where, you know, looking at a reference photo can really help if you've got one. Just kind of try to see, you know, how these flowers cluster. And they really do kind of follow right along those branches pretty closely. They don't come out unless they've got their own kind of like branch stuck out the side, but they really kind of cluster right along up next to that branch. So we can just kind of do our flowers right alongside wherever on either side of our branches, and like kind of let them sit out and leave a little bit of space every now and then. You know, there's like these little gaps in there, so they're not all like a solid cluster of flowers all the way up. There's like little gaps in here that we want to leave. So, you know, like in here, I won't put a flower right in there. I'm going to leave that space, and right in here, same thing. So that'll make look a little bit more realistic too, you know, because that's more like what I'm seeing in our picture there. Let's leave this little bit of space right in here. As I get down closer to the bottom, I'm going to make bigger petals. Make a few that are like really obvious petals. This is very, very, very impressionistic. So honestly, not a whole lot can go wrong with this. You really don't try to get it to look exactly like mine. Just kind of do your own thing with it. Especially with the Q-tip, you know, these kind of materials, it's just really almost impossible to get. If I was to do this 3 or 4 times, they'd all look different, you know. So,
or if you just have cotton swabs, that's fine too.
What?
Or if you just have cotton swabs, that's fine too.
What did I say?
A name brand.
Oh, all right. I know I call them that, so
that's okay.
That's fine. They need to.
It's just like calling all sodas a certain brand.
Well, and I probably shouldn't do that when I've got a sponsor too.
Exactly.
So. No mentioning other brands. All right, this is looking good. I like this. Different. Very different.
So I was planning to get a ruler and measure out exactly where you put all your dots and put my dots in those spots.
In the same spots?
But now you told me not to.
Well, I will have a traceable for it, so if you really need to see exactly where I did mine, you can use that. And
where am I going to get that?
At Patreon, on my Patreon page, which is down in the description and up in the iCards. I've got a link to that. So it's patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. And do all my traceables for $1 a month, which is not too bad of a deal. And it includes all of the older traceables too, not just the new ones. So all of my 230 something, I don't know how many we have now. Last time I checked, I think it was 230. It's a lot.
Traceables?
No, tutorials.
No, tutorials. Oh, okay. Sorry.
The oldest videos I don't have traceables for, just because I didn't have Patreon up yet. So they started February this year.
Of 2017.
Last year, yes. Sorry, thank you.
That's okay. Because I thought you were from the future. You have access to all the ones starting a month from now. All the way back.
Exactly. That's funny. Trying to kind of create some. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Trying to create some shapes in there, up and down. We'll just make it into a couple of hours here. No biggie.
There you go. I meant to do that.
Yeah, I meant to do that.
Oh, people are wanting to know what kind of blossoms are these?
I think. Well, I got different conflicting things. I think they're cherry blossoms, but maybe more of the. I don't know if there's a white cherry blossoms or not, but the picture that I had said cherry blossoms. So
okay.
I don't know if that was true or not, because I always thought the cherry blossoms were pink, but you could totally make these pink very easily. And I think I'm going to do a whole series of these kind of flowers this spring. I really like this look. You know, that kind of impression is kind of very, I think it's very accessible too. So I think we're going to do a whole series of flowers. We did the dandelion last week. And so this is kind of, this one was a little bit more, this was painted with the brush, so it's a little bit more realistic, but it's kind of in the same feeling, hopefully. All right.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of pictures of white cherry blossoms.
White cherry blossoms, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's pink and white.
That's what okay. So, yeah, these are cherry blossoms, just not the traditional pink color. All right, so now I'm going to go back in here and just add a few little really, really bright whites, because this kind of white sort of already mixed with what was underneath there a little bit. So I'm going to go back in and add some really thick smush details to some of these. This is technical terms, smush details.
Very thick, smushed details.
Yes. So I'm just kind of going back over with a thick, really heavily loaded Q-tip here. And dabbing on some really thick petals. That'll really bring those white blossoms out. My is kind of going a little crazy, so I'm going to twist it a little bit as I put it down so that it sort of smooths out a little bit, maybe. Come on. Maybe time for a new one. I'm leaving those centers open. I'm going to fill those with other colors so we don't have to fill it up. You know, these centers can be left open for now. What are you laughing at?
Somebody in chat said that these are Vangeligo blossoms.
Ooh.
Instead of Van Gogh blossoms.
I like it. I like it. There we go. Get some fresh paint here. This will give me some. Just going to find a few places to really pop out some bright flowers. Let's make this kind of our focal point area right in here. So we'll make in a few a little bit more detailed blossoms in here. This is a point where you're probably, if you're working with kids, you're probably going to have to, like, at some point take the paint away, because they'll just keep on going and going and going and going, because this is actually really fun. And, you know,
kids or husbands.
Exactly. Remove the paint just so that, you know, get it to where it looks good, and then kind of like, okay, let's move on to the next color here, because otherwise it could end up getting a little bit away from them. All right, so I'm going to grab some of this green here. We'll put in a few like little green bits, just kind of setting it down and dragging it. And if it's not showing up against your background, just make it a little bit darker, a little bit lighter. Just whatever you need to do. Or you can change the tone of it a little bit and give it a little bit more yellow or whatever it takes. It's actually kind of showing up pretty good for me. I didn't put too much of this color in the background, so it's looking pretty good.
So I want to say, if you're just tuning into the live stream, you're like, oh my gosh, I've missed so much. Have no fear. The video is posted permanently to YouTube shortly after the stream ends.
Yes.
So anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes or so, it'll take time to process, but then it's there. So
yep,
we do these and we leave them up.
Yep.
So you can come back later on today, tomorrow, 3 years from now.
Still be there.
50 years from now, if YouTube is still here, it'll still be there.
Making some brighter green here with the yellow. Just add a few pops of that. Yep.
Ooh, we got an art question.
Okay.
It says they do not have the phthalo green yellow shade, so what could they use instead?
If they have the blue shade, they could use that and just add a little bit of yellow to it. And if they don't have that, then they can just use phthalo blue and add yellow to it. Phthalo blue plus yellow is really makes what makes phthalo green. So it's yeah, it's a mixable color. All right, so now let's start putting in our centers of our flowers. And I think I want the burnt sienna for that, or the raw sienna for that. Use that. Maybe use just a teeny tiny bit of yellow, or the Quinacridone Magenta to make it a little bit more like rosy, orangish. Just a tiny bit though. I don't want it to be too much. And then I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow oxide too. Kind of have a little bit of both in my brush here, or my brush, my Q-tip here, and just find my centers of my flowers and dab in some of those, and really only on the ones where it's obvious where that center is. It doesn't have to be everywhere, you know, obviously. And I'm going to kind of dab it a couple of times so that it's not a perfect circle. Okay, let's see what I want to do with these ones right there. As the paint runs out, you can kind of keep going and it'll give a little bit softer color too, which is nice. So some of these will be a little bit less dark than others. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Pretty good. I like it. Alright, then I'm going to use a stylus tool, or if you have a toothpick or something like that, you grab... I don't have a toothpick handy, or I'd grab a toothpick, but I'm going to use this purple color and dot in the centers of my flowers with some little
Okay, I'm going to zoom in. So
dots of
this
purple.
is where it gets tricky. We'll try our skills here. See if we can stay on camera. Nope,
Oh.
Definitely did not there.
Not there? Okay. All right, I'll stay in the middle then.
We weren't even zoomed in 12 seconds, and
we were already off camera. Score.
I would give you a high five, but I can't reach you. I did it.
That's awesome. Kind of going around a little bit in the centers, but it's also kind of around the outside of that circle too, just sort of in that center area of those. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of trying to indicate the little dabs that happen, you know, those little kind of the ends of the... You can kind of see them on this one pretty well right there, where they kind of have these little dark dabs in the center. Dark little dots.
Stamen.
Huh? Stamen, yep. Stamen, thank you. Oh, I get so many comments about... I'll probably have 12 people leave me comments about that.
Yeah, but is it a farm all?
The tractor. The tractor was the biggest debate, wasn't it? It really was.
Oh, that was...
There's still debate. I still don't know which one we decided it was.
There are some serious tractor people out there.
That's right.
Don't mess with the tractor.
No. Probably be like you and tanks. You know, somebody came out and was trying to tell you it was, you know, some certain kind of tank, and you knew better. So don't say, you know.
Oh, but you did buy me a tank book last night.
I did buy you a tank book.
Now it'll just take me about a year to read it. It's like 12 pages.
Yeah.
2 pages are pictures.
It's all right. takes a lot to get you to redraw you. I figured tanks would do it if anything did.
Yeah, you got me interested.
I can't remember the last time you read a book.
It was that submarine book.
Black Hawk Down, maybe?
Either Black Hawk Down or the submarine one.
I can't remember. It's been years.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the title.
I think. I'm not going to say it. All right. Okay. That's pretty good. I think. Zoom out. Go ahead and zoom out there. Let me see what we're dealing with here. Yeah, it's pretty good. If you wanted to keep going, let's splatter. Oh. Yes.
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 Woo!
You knew we weren't done. Let's get some of this purple color.
Now I'm excited.
And some white.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Hush. And when you're doing splattering, you need to add a bunch of water. You need to have it like a soupy milk consistency. So if you don't have it, if it's dragging on your brush or it's not dripping off on the palette, it's not wet enough. I'm going to use a fan brush here, but you could use a toothbrush. You could use another, like a stiff bristle brush of any kind, really. Ooh, there we go. I'm getting big splatters this time. I've added a little bit extra water so I get some nice big splatters. So I'm going to start with the purple. I don't want to do too much of that. Let's grab some white here and get a nice big.
You're kind of camera.
Yeah, sorry. I ran over room on my palette here, so.
I should do this.
Grab a little bit of the yellow oxide. There we go. Okay, adding a little bit more water than I might normally add, just so that I get, ooh, some nice big drops. There we go. And let's add some of the black too, just a little bit. This one I want to keep them fairly small, so I won't add as much water. And you can practice on paper, you know, just to kind of get a feel for the size of drops that you'll get, you know, depending on how much water you add. But ooh, there we go. I like it. Okay. It's good. I kind of wish that it was a little bit more, I had used a little bit more of that unbleached titanium, but it's a little too late now, so.
So, quick question about art stuff.
Yes.
Is yellow oxide the same as yellow ochre?
It's very, very similar. Yes.
Very similar?
Yeah, very
Okay.
similar. They can be interchanged. Yeah.
Okay, and
No problem.
for the last 10, 15 minutes, Chad's been talking about one person.
Stickman?
Yeah.
Okay.
He said it can't be 2 videos in a row.
Okay, we'll set that aside there. Actually, we'll give him a palette because we didn't give him a palette last week, right? He needs a palette.
Palette and a bar of soap.
Huh?
And a bar of soap.
And a bar of soap. Mm-hmm. The Stickman is our mascot here if you're new to our channel. We add something to him every week. Mark painted him, or drew him, I should say, and we add. Here's his art palette here.
Yeah, on Instagram, we posted a picture over the Christmas holidays, I think.
Stick elf on a shelf.
stick on the shelf, and then also there was like all of the Stickman drawings and
oh yeah, that's
paintings
right,
that we've done so far together
over the years. Yep, we sure did. Let's put in some of these purpley. Oh wait, we're doing cherry blossom. Oh well, this is good enough.
We're just painting stuff.
We're just gonna paint flowers down here.
Maybe some splatters. Soap.
Yeah. I don't have all my palette colors, but we'll just do our best here to
That's all right.
Get close enough. Stickman's just a little bit of fun that we like to have. Just keeping it light. Don't take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, until we do Stickman, that's when things get serious.
Right.
Beautiful.
Right, there we go.
Perfect.
There he is. He's got his art palette. He's ready to go.
So you can pause your video there, everybody, and just kind of adore it. So, take a screenshot, use it as your wallpaper.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. No. No.
Okay, everybody, take pictures of your wallpaper on your phones and post them on Facebook for us. Prove Angela wrong.
Then you got Stickman on there. Oh gosh, no. That's funny. All right, I'm gonna make a gray brown. I've got that gray color, and I've got a little bit of that burnt raw sienna. And I'm just gonna go in here and create it. Yeah. I don't want to do too much because I might put a little bit of this color underneath some of these flowers just because I feel like they got a little bit of white, just too much white. So, but yeah, it's too late now. So we'll call it good. And what you could do too is once it's completely dry, and this is probably what I would do instead of that, is go in and wash some colors on top, and it'll pick up on that white, and you can kind of add some depth to your flowers, but it's definitely not something we can do right now because it's going to take way too long to dry. So
now, what do you mean by wash?
We kind of like what we did with the splatter paint. You take that kind of light, lot of water, just a little tiny bit of paint, or you can use a glazing medium with your paint color and just lightly paint on a little tiny bit of a wash of color so you can see the color underneath. It's like a transparent layer of paint that changes the...
So on each individual flower, not...
Yeah, I would go just a few of them, not all of them, you know, but I would just go through and just maybe add a little bit of depth to a few of them just to kind of, you know, punch it up a little bit. But,
all right. For a second there, I thought you meant like wash the whole...
Oh, no, not over the whole thing. Just on a few little individual ones to kind of make some of them look farther away.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching today. We really appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed it, too. And we will be back on Tuesday with another tutorial for you. I don't know what we're doing yet, but thanks to our sponsor, Lava, and check those guys out. Definitely recommend it. Highly recommend it. I will definitely be using it here in a couple minutes to get this off my hands. So, all right, guys. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.